Welcome to the DIY Toycast. I'm Gordon here with my co-host and birthday boy Brett,
Hello.
and we have some exciting news. Brett has posted on the Goblin Toy Forge account about it with a little teaser. I don't if you watched our episode with Logan, we talked a little bit about it, but the thing that we've had in the works for a little bit, but has been moving surprisingly fast, is we're taking the cursed armor into vinyl. And so we were going to kind of walk through a little bit of uh, how we got here. I pulled essentially some slides that we can look at. Brett, do you think should we start like back from the original
Yeah.
design, or what do
Yeah.
you
Well,
think makes sense?
let's do this. How about we go through the entire history of the cursed armor? I figure it's Friday night.
Mhm.
Anybody that's interested in this is gonna, they're obviously not gonna hear this on Friday night, but for the listeners, sit back, open a beer, roll up just a fucking hog's leg of weed, and just listen to
Okay.
Gordon's lore about the cursed armor and how we got to production. So let's go with that. Gordon, let's get some pictures up on the slideshow
All right.
and tell us how on earth the cursed armor came into being.
So actually, I was thinking like I could probably claim some of the ideas came from it way the hell back from the very first Toy Pizza Con.
Oh
Um,
man.
it-
And this is when Mega Merge was being announced?
yeah, and so I remember this is a display that they had set up at Toy Pizza Con 2019.
Okay.
And I was already, an obsessive Dark Souls 1 fan. And
Right.
so, and well into Knights of the Slice by this point, I had been on the first like Kickstarter for Action Figure of the Month Club. And so I think this was like halfway through the first year of that. And then Jesse had these prototypes at the show showing off the um, Black Knight and Solaire from Dark Souls 1. Um,
I love that he doesn't have the finished swords for those, that those are just the knight sword and
oh,
shotgun
yeah,
combo.
good
That's very
spot.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome though. Those are so good. I still need to pick up one of those Dark Knights. Those are so good.
Yeah. So, you know, I feel like this sort of put it in my brain of like, no, A, it's very unlikely that like I'm gonna get a full line of Dark Souls toys, and
Right.
it was awesome to get these two, but that certainly put it in my head that like, oh man, like if I could somehow do this myself, uh, that's probably the way that it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Um, and so I guess let's see.
I was gonna say, could you just arrow tab through it? Would that be the best way?
Gonna have to bring up the other
Oh, okay.
grouping of, I think this is my, yeah, this is my
The deep lore.
the
Okay,
deep
very good.
lore. So
Sick.
fast forward to, I guess 2023, though, I did poll. Yeah, actually, before we get there, I wanted to mention sort of my first foray into like a full
Right, right.
3D printed figure. And so this was a
Yeah,
collab that I did with Brendan from Zstar, who we've had on the show, who does his own Sonic Atomic stuff now.
right.
But he had commissioned me to make some instruments. Um, and so over the course of iterating on those, I had made these robot designs out of them. And I think, yeah, this
Yeah.
is like the stuff that I had at the first Toy Pizza Con that I vended at.
Yeah, that was the year we met.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Also, I love the Metalder homage and what I'm gonna call the three Blacktron 2 colors.
oh
That's
yeah, those are definitely
incredible.
Blacktron too in the front there.
That rules, dude. Those are so good. Yeah, I love those. Those were very cool to see. And it was also awesome to see somebody else doing printed stuff at the show that wasn't just me, because I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be the bane of the show having printed toys.
And so my solution at the time to try to hold these things together was actually, if you zoom in here, you can see I was using up all my spare switch pins to stick these together. Um,
Well, hey, it's a good use for them.
and so that's how I was sort of getting around the dealing with tolerances around the resin at the
Nice.
time.
From humble
So,
beginnings.
and then I think, yeah, so the same year, actually, Jesse commissioned me to do the sculpt for a production piece, which was this scarf.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
and so uh, this actually is part of the DNA of the cursed armor, which, if you look at any of the later iterations, has that same scarf sculpt sort of merged into the rest of the
Oh, okay.
torso.
I thought the armor came first and you took the scarf from that. I didn't realize that came first. That's really cool.
Yeah, and like this was a huge confidence boost, definitely, to keep pushing me doing more sort of organic sculpt work in Blender,
Hmm.
and then trying to fit it around like existing figures. Lots of measuring with the caliper,
Oh,
uh,
yes.
multiple iterations of the print so it could fit around the different necks and still have like the head seat properly.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Well, and I think it's really incredible that that piece got into production.
yeah,
Like it's really fantastic that when you get a classic night now that just comes with it.
very much so. And it's cool to have, with have the production figures now share a little bit of element with my DIY homemade stuff.
Absolutely.
So I think it was at the very tail end of uh, 2023 that I did this first drawing of the cursed armor. Um, I was looking at my copy of Vermis a lot at the time, so I'll stop and pull that out.
There it is.
Yeah.
The ancient Jedi texts, the arcane tomes.
And I had actually brought this in my backpack to that Toy Pizza Con that Brett and I met at, and like was showing it to you after the show.
Yep. And because of that, I now have a shipping notification for Vermis Volume 3 as of today.
Yeah. That's been continued to be sort of a regular influence on like subsequent designs that I've done with like the Goblin or Mantessa or and I assume like was that at all influence on like what you were thinking of when you did the Veilgast?
Absolutely. There was probably about 6 or 7 pages I took photos of specifically
Oh, nice.
when I sent them to Kenneth, in addition to a bunch of sketch art and stuff from Tolkien, like the Nazgul, the
Yeah.
Ring Wraiths, and a few other generic Wraith archetypes that I'm interested in. But
Mhm.
the some of the stuff in Vermis definitely lended it, in addition to my love of World of Warcraft. But
Totally.
yeah. Love the Veilgast. He's been very well received. Do I want to do something even scarier? Absolutely. But anyway,
Yeah, I see talking with you, I feel like World of Warcraft holds the same spot for you that Dark Souls holds for me.
yeah,
And like we've sunk the massive amount hours of our lives into these fantasy
no,
role-playing games.
there's no question. Yeah, and a lot of it is like, a lot of the stuff in Souls and in Vermis too is like these armor sets are really, really not that great of an idea in actual combat. It's just rule of cool. And
Mhm.
I
Oh
think
yeah.
I think that informs good, like rule of cool informs fun toy design, especially for a villain archetype.
Yeah.
And I think, we saw that with your first cursed armor sketches and how you really just nailed it the first try. Like there's been some iterations, but for the most part, the original sketch is very faithful to what's still coming out today.
Yeah, and so when I was originally doing this drawing, it was trying to get a wide variety of textures, be as asymmetrical as possible.
To a
Um,
fault. To a fault, yes.
right.
But I love
I
it.
I wasn't thinking that I would have to sculpt this at the time.
Right. Well, and it's cool, we're talking about WoW and we're talking about Souls, but what this really shows a lot of too in that DNA is Warduke, with the one chainmail leg. And
mhm.
I didn't have any AD&D stuff growing up. That's before my time. But
Yeah, and I wasn't even thinking of Warduke when I did this, but of
Yeah.
course, like it's hard to get away from with the half scale mail
Oh yeah.
armor set.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I love the cloth waistband that comes off the belt. I think that's a very fun thing. Also, the Falchion rules. Like, what a great sword type.
yeah, I and those are some of the elements that had to change as this had articulation made. So like
Yep.
the shoulder pauldron sort of comes over the entire front of the torso.
Hmm.
And then you had the scarf kind of covering one shoulder, and then this cast across the legs. And so, if these were actual soft pieces or like pieces of armor that are articulated, then that could move around as the figure moves. But like
Right.
if you're just doing standard toy articulation,
No,
this is going to get in the way. This is going to get in the way. This is going to get in the way.
oh, especially that pauldron. I mean, I love this idea, but the way it evolved, it's very much like this is what a shoulder pad would look like in WoW. I love it.
And so after doing the initial just so I did the front first, and then thought, okay, I'll do the backside and make up some further details and shit, so that if I do want to sculpt this, I have like a turnaround to reference. And
Right.
then the third drawing was okay. Uh, I was just making shit up as I went. Now can I actually draw this in a somewhat dynamic pose? Um, and so I used this little doodle then to make a miniature in sort of a fixed pose. And you can actually
Yeah.
see he still has the pauldron that comes all the way across, um,
Oh yeah.
the kind of skirt thing that comes across. Um, and then still wasn't fully sure what this color scheme would be, so I did like this gold plate for the plate armor, and then silver scale mail, and then like a blue falchion.
Yeah. I mean, I'm into it. It definitely is given like Desert Trooper vibe with that. I do like that color scheme.
And then I think this was just basically upscaling the sculpt that I had from the miniature
Hmm.
to be close to 1/18th scale, and so it's taller than a knight, but about the same height as these Common Rider figures that I love.
Is it
That
is
are,
that the Shoto line or Soto?
yeah, I think
Okay.
it's Shotos, and like they're the ones where you put stickers on them,
Okay.
and they come in like two separate boxes with sort of
Hmm.
the core skeleton, and then the armor goes on top. But I they I think they're still relatively affordable. They were a lot cheaper then. Um, and so I was
Oh
using them
yeah.
for custom bases. And so I had a bunch of them around. And so I wanted my own design to kind of work both with standing next to a Knights of the Slice figure, but then also the Kamen Rider stuff.
Right. No,
Because
that
it,
looks great. I really love that sculpted scarf and waistcoat that's on it even back then. It's very cool.
yeah, and you can see I did a very kind of crude joint cut,
I
just slice the shoulder in half.
no, I
And
love it. I think that's fun. I mean, that feels very much like what uh like Kenner Total Justice would have did in the 90s with DC. These just hard cuts. I really like that.
And so I think this is the same sculpt, and how I had done the articulation initially was trying to do magnets because I had seen Derek, our friend's figures at Toy Pizza Con, and he had
Yep.
used those inset magnets with metal ball bearings for the shoulders, and then I think just flat magnets for his hips on his figures. And so I thought maybe that could sort of work for just a standard 5 POA figure. It sort of worked. They're fragile. The two biggest pains about magnets are they're expensive,
Yep.
and then when you install them, you often fuck up the polarity, and then have to like
Right.
tear them out of the housing, flip them around, reglue them in. and then they often kept coming unglued. So it it works if you're only doing like 3 or 4 figures, but as you start to do more and more of them, they rapidly become kind of more hassle than they're worth.
Right.
Let's see. I think this was just messing around with. Oh yeah, so this is actually the shift to friction pegs for articulation from the magnets. So rather than just having the flat cuts, um,
Okay.
it was going in and replacing all the sort of flat surfaces were with cylindrical pegs. Um, and there was a lot of iteration with this to try to get just the right amount of tolerance using the resin printer because I think I remember there was variability based on like the temperature that it was outside, how clean I could get my prints with the alcohol bath, because if you
Yep.
have a little bit of resin residue, that'll make the pegs thicker. And then also the resin likes to pool in all the recessed joints, um,
Yep.
which was another big pain.
Yeah. Well, and then you also have to factor in resin temperature itself, and if you shook it up enough and mixed it, the viscosity of it. I mean, people could say how go back to resin, 3 to 5 years ago, it was a different world compared to where we're at now.
Yeah. And I didn't have Brett's phone number at the time, so I was just fucking around and tearing holes in my resin vat and
Yeah,
you know,
I'm current print tech support for the friend group.
but like it was pretty exciting at the time, so I kept making a bunch of these. And
Oh
a
yeah, they're great. I mean, you've probably put out, I would venture to bet close to 100 cursed armor now out of the various prints.
Yeah, and I forget sometimes like how many I've made because I've
There's so
dispersed
many
them either
variations.
as gifts and stuff. And so right here, actually, you can start to see the modifications in the sculpt where uh, I
Yep.
went in and sculpted the rest of the scale mail on the shoulder, kind of scooted the edge of the pauldron so that it lined up with the vertical cut there.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot.
The goblin belt got smaller.
Yeah, and also on certainly on this iteration, I went in and kind of cut in a lot of the details a lot more. So
Yeah.
like the face on the chest, the really like the teeth on the goblin belt buckle are a lot sharper than they are over here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really cool just to see that evolution right now. For our audio listeners, I'm terribly sorry. This is going to be,
This is a video episode,
yeah,
yeah.
you're going to sleep great. So enjoy that. But no, I mean, if you're viewing this, you can really see the evolution. One looks like this is Cursed Armor Playmates. The next one is like this is McFarlane or NECA Playmates. Like that shift is so crazy in such a short amount of time from you.
And it's that's one of the I think the it's one of the things that if you're just working on the sculpt digitally, it's often hard to gauge how deep you have to cut the detail
Yep.
until you get a test printout.
Yep.
And so back when it was resin prints, it's a lot longer turnaround time. I think, it was probably like 4 or 5 hours to run just one 4-inch figure.
Right.
Um, so uh, it wasn't until I had the initial test print done that like I got a sense, how much it needs to be revised. And also, uh, less detail can work better if it's a smaller scale. But then
Hmm.
as you blow it up, it becomes sort of more apparent, uh, what areas need to be kind of refined.
Well, and it's even worth mentioning that amount of detail that work that you did, that legwork back then, really kind of paid dividends to where we're at now as
Yeah.
we're entering vinyl. Now, granted, you've had to shift the sculpt around, of course, for it to be soft vinyl, but a lot of that architecture you did back then in those high details transferred along. And it was, back then, I'm sure you had no concept of, oh, hey, this will go to production one day. I better do all this work now.
No, I was just like being obsessive about the design that I had made.
Well, it paid off.
Yeah. And like it definitely is hard now because like when I do a completely new sculpt, I'm always comparing it to the cursed armor, and I'm like, this isn't quite up to the same level. And it's just because like
Oh
I haven't
Christ.
put
But
the
how
same
many
run,
hundreds of yeah, but how
yeah,
many hundreds
hours.
of hours went into the cursed armor versus now? Because now you have your legs under you. You know what to do. You know how your articulation schemes work. Back then it was like the Wild West of discovery.
Yeah, and so here's the Dark Souls homage again, but this is actually one of those Kamen Rider Soto figures
Yeah.
with add-on bits. The resin parts here are the helmet, the shoulder pauldron, uh, the
Shin guards,
front
the knee
shin
plates.
guards, yeah, and the knee guards. Um, and so this was sort of initial messing around, like when I bought my resin printer, this is sort of my concept of what my initial goal was
Yeah.
doing custom action figures and
Hell yeah.
making custom parts to
Parts.
sort of add on, not having to worry about articulation. And so then,
Well, that certainly would have been smart to stick with that.
well, and I feel like we've mentioned it in other episodes, but starting small to kind of get your feel for your tools and your process.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
helps you have just enough frustration that you can kind of push past it rather than just saying, fuck it, I give up.
Yeah, I mean, the only person I know that's crazy enough to jump out the gate to start designing full figures was, Desktop Vandal's Jaculated form of the human body is just a proof of concept.
Right.
An
It's
absolute warlock, if there ever was one.
mhm,
And you and me just started doing heads, where it's like,
mhm.
we'll mess around with this.
And here also you can see the sword actually that is being held by this cursed armor is the Black Knight sword from the Mega Merge figure. Um, I hadn't
Oh,
figured out
perfect.
the correct diameter for the hand to hold a weapon at this point.
Right.
So the early figure has like a really tight closed hand, and then the left hand is sort of this open hand with splayed fingers.
Yeah, I do
Uh,
like the open hand.
yeah,
In the workshop, the process.
right.
We've all
And
seen
so,
this. That our RIP to the Elegoo Mars 2 no longer in production.
but yeah, so this is like what it actually looks like as it's pulling out of the vat. And so, um, big disadvantage of resin prints is it's pretty opaque when it's actually in the process of printing. So you can't tell until the print is mostly done and it's pulled out of the vat, whether or not the thing is adhered to the plate, whether there's
Right.
any imperfections in the print. Um, then there was also the process of finding the right resin to use. And so Resin One M58 really became my go-to. It's not cheap, but it's both kind of resist mechanical stress. And for whatever reason, um, I found it like it was the most reliable and didn't give me a lot of failures. Now that
Hmm.
may have been because I actually went to the manufacturer and like downloaded the settings for the resin for my
Right.
resin slicer, which I didn't realize was a thing you could do. Like I was just reading the back of the bottle and trying to set the exposure times that way.
Yeah.
This was uh, another version that I did in clear red resin. And then at the end of the process, I think I might have a photo. Yeah. So this
Oh,
is
shout out to the V1 Ooze. Uh, yeah, is that when I was spreading the word of Duraclear?
indeed, yeah, I
Yeah.
think, oh yeah. So
We'll get to
the,
that. There we go.
this was, I guess this was relatively early in the process. Like I had asked you, would you be willing to run a giant cursed armor for me? Because you had an FDM printer at the time.
Yeah, I think my phrasing was something along the lines of "you bet" in all caps. I was very excited to run that. It turned out good. So that came out to be just under 12 inches, give or take.
Yeah, and I still like bringing that to shows that we set up at as sort of like a table display model. But
I'm
it
proud of it. It's held up. It really has. He's held up.
and it's crazy to see how well the detail scaled up from resin.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that marble filament's really good stuff too. I really like that brand that I did that out of, so I think that lends to it. But shout out to the Goblin Blade, which is now the logo for Goblin Toy Forge.
Indeed, yeah, you can really see that here.
Yeah, that goes crazy. That's so sick.
I think this is just
On a
a
quest. Sick art of him on a quest. That rules.
yeah, this is a later drawing. This is when I was trying to come up with a card back for carded
Oh yeah.
figures. Um,
Yeah. Well, that's a great one. It looks like he's getting out of the sewers of Cyrodiil in Oblivion.
and I wanted to, and this sword is actually based on a sword that Brett designed, which I used for the articulated
Yeah.
cursed armors. And then I think this was actually an alternate hand that I included with some of the articulated figures. I stole the sculpt from one of the goblins that I had sculpted.
Oh, nice. That's really fun.
And I think this is an early,
This is the first Vampire Lord.
yeah, I can't remember. This is like testing multiple things. This is testing, there's Brett's sword.
Yeah, we're
Uh,
testing. Let's see. Let's go over everything. We're testing the sword. We're testing a new vampire head. We're testing a mixed material of
right,
resin chest, PLA limbs, and then not FDM, good lord, TPU joints and hands.
right. Uh,
Yeah, this is a real.
yeah, this is a mishmash of techniques,
This
but
is a real kit bash if there ever was one of mixed media.
yeah. And the reason that I
No, that's
was
cool. That was a fun little jaunt of trying to do hyper articulated.
It was, and like it was. I think I did the 1/18th scale one first, because it let me do the head in resin and get the really good detail that way, and also I still liked the scale of
Mm,
4-inch figures. But man, assembling
yeah.
these is terrible. I've s- I've since had the idea. I
Well,
haven't tested it
oh, it's
yet.
the
But I wonder if I reverse the material so that the majority was at a TPU and then it was just hard joints, if it would be less like physically painful to assemble them.
oh. Well,
Uh,
that's a thought. And as someone who's been doing this flex joint system for like, I don't know, close to 3 years now, never once crossed my mind. So, we'll look into that. Anyone out there using it, report in, let us know how it works out for you. But yeah, that's fun. That's a fun thought. We should try that. It's also worth noting, I was using this joint system to do, shoulders, hips, knees, and elbows, and Gordon decided to do bicep articulation, 360 articulated wrists, ankle rocker joints on the feet. Like, you just swung for the fences, and it actually worked, which is crazy.
yeah, I don't know if I have photos of them, but I pulled from my collection, your Myths of Heroshire orc
Oh, hell
belt,
yeah. Oh,
and
hell
then
yeah. The old boy,
the Bloxor. And so
the originals.
these were like the proof of concept of, to me, of using the TPU joints
Yep.
with a rigid PLA body and stuff. Um,
Yeah, I mean it's actually kind of sick how well these have held up. You never know how long stuff's gonna last. Like we've seen with resin toys, they fail, they fall apart and get floppy. But I had never tried mixed media before, and as we know, PLA can be pretty brittle. And they're still going strong. I mean, we're coming up on 3 years it was assembled, and it's still going.
yeah,
So it's
and
really
this
cool
is
to see
sort of
it,
the
just pumping along.
the missing
Oh
link
yeah,
between Brett's stuff and my own articulated figures. And so this is just the torso and a modified head sculpt of the cursed armor, then
yeah.
overlaid
On my
on,
Hero Shire
yeah,
parts.
body.
Yeah, I think that is the only one of those in existence, which is very fun. It's probably better it stays that way.
No, I think there are a couple of them out there.
Did we?
Actually, I remember when
Oh,
I set up at And
Did you make it? Did you make some? Okay, because I
I
was gonna say
did.
okay, I only printed the one and sent it to you, and I was like, well, that's very funny if that's the only one out there. But
I
okay, I didn't
remember
realize you made some.
I made some and I brought them to when Jesse did the Ultra Clash show.
Oh, okay.
So a couple of the people who went to that show have them. But
Oh, well, sh shout out to the Ultra Clash people.
and actually, I think if we keep going through the if we keep going through the photos here, we may come up on. Let me see.
Oh, the 6-inch iteration.
Yeah, and so here you can see same joints used on the Mantessa character that I have, and for her, because her upper arms were thinner, I had to just do the shoulder and elbow joints. I couldn't
Hmm.
fit a bicep cut at this scale.
No, it's actually fucking crazy that you did articulation on her like that. I mean, it's nuts.
Whereas upscale to a 7-inch figure, um, you can get the full detail just all out of PLA.
Yep.
Assembly is much easier because you have like much more room basically to kind of like force the parts together.
Yep.
Um, and
Absolutely.
so for the hyper articulated armor, the 7-inch actually became my kind of preferred. And actually, there's still one of these in the Goblin Toy Forge store, so someone should go buy it.
Is that true?
Yes.
I haven't looked at it. Let's look. Let's check. Well, while we're here, while Gordon's going through, we're gonna do a status update on the web store.
Yeah, I think that that might be the last cursed armor that's up for sale at the moment.
It is, yeah, it's the Vampire Lord. It's the red and gold. That's right.
Right, so
Yeah.
it's taking this Vampire Lord head sculpt and on this body. Actually, I can just pull up the Goblin Toy Forge site.
Yeah, shameless plug in the middle of the history lesson, folks.
Let's go in. Ah, give me a sec here. Yeah, this is the
There he
guy.
is. Big red. Yeah. Yeah, with the fire falchion sword. Pretty
Right,
sick.
that's Brett's sculpt on that.
Yeah. That's a fun little collab piece. It's in the shop. Somebody go buy that. Treat yourself. Buy this because we're not, listen, after these are in vinyl, we're never going to make any more of these. Get it now.
Let's see. So, oh yeah, and so this is a fully disassembled one of those 7-inch figures.
Oh yeah.
Just to give
Look at them. That's a good
us
layout. That's a fun parts layout.
so I had to make the pauldron as a sort of separate piece that was like glued or tacked to the shoulder. Partially so I could have the spikes print correctly, but also you need enough like you need to not be stabbing the palm of your hand when you're trying
Yeah.
to push the joint into like the shoulder socket here. Um,
Yeah. Missed opportunity is an exclusive to buy chainmail gloves.
and actually, so what you don't see in this photo are the joint loops that stick everything together, and then the hands are actually printed out of TPU so that they're flexible and can have a better grip on accessories, and the thumbs don't bust apart.
Which has never happened on any of the figures ever.
Except
Not
all
once.
the resin figures that I did.
And
Uh,
and here we go. Here we get to the arcane lore.
yeah, so this was trying to, I think, come up with a little blurb about it. And I always, this is sort of,
Also, really, really commendable. I'm gonna have to cut you off. This is taken in your cubicle at work. You're doing arcane lore writing on the job. Incredible. Incredible. I don't, you should be getting paid to write this. This is so good. Continue.
yeah, so the pieces here are, so this little icon was actually done as a sketch card by Erwin Papa, you know, god of sculpting and illustration who's done a ton of work for Jesse, done bunch of cool comic work. And I think he may still be offering this through his store. So people should definitely check out Erwin Papa on Instagram and then like see what he's got listed up in his own shop. Because he was doing these sketch cards for some incredibly affordable amount. Um,
Oh,
so
excellent.
I had him just do the head portrait, and then for the lore, I was mostly influenced by Dark Souls and also how Plastaboo writes the text in Vermis of
Right.
you kind of suggest what's going on with the character without nailing anything down super strictly. And like what I like, the idea of that for me is that you're giving someone like a prompt to tell a story with the character rather than saying, this is what the character did and like laying it all out for them.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, and so when you were doing those card backs there, that you were reusing the Knights of the Slice bubbles for those?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Those are resealables. Yeah, those are great.
yeah, these
I
are
love
really
those.
good. I don't know
They're fantastic.
where Jesse gets them, but
Another arcane secret.
right.
Yeah, those are so good, man. I love those.
If you can find these are awesome because it's it lets you have that card back like a traditional, 4-inch figure would have. Um, but then you don't have to like tear the bubble off and screw up
Hmm.
the card back. So you can take your guy out, pose him on the shelf, and then you can go back in and it can act as either a display or play piece.
Oh yeah, that's good.
So, oh yeah, and there's the front. And so this one,
Hell yeah.
I think this one is so you can tell this is FDM if I zoom in really close because you can see the layer
Hmm.
lines on it. But
Yep.
still, even at 4 inches, I think this was with the Flash Forge Adventurer.
Hmm.
Um, Came out pretty good. And there's Brett's Flame Sword. He was very kind to print a couple of these for the 4-inch hyper articulated ones. And I think this was in like a glow blue, right?
That was my first run of the glow blue ones I had. Uh, yeah, it was really fun. I love elemental swords, and I can't think of a character better suited just to having some random elemental blade on him he killed and took off an adventure. So, it's fun because they get this extremely and fantastical real type colorway, and then this very Playmates ass neon weapon.
Yeah, it's a nice contrast, and it it makes it feel like a toy,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
what I want. Uh, this was sort of just a
The
interesting.
foray into tabletop.
Yeah, I had the sculpts. I had a resin printer. A large amount of like the resin 3D printing community is just tabletop miniature stuff, and like
Oh yeah.
I we both follow bunches of people who paint and sculpt like miniatures. Um, our buddy Brandon Divine Syrup is a huge
Friend of the
miniatures
pod.
guy, friend of the pod. And so my thought was when I was setting up at Toy Pizza Con that I'd also make available some of these miniatures for if people wanted to use them in their tabletop games.
Yeah.
Oh, and
And it
so
begins.
yeah,
And
so this
so it begins. After I grime a worm tongued my way into telling Gordon, you will be doing final. We have to go into production, Gordon. Surely there's no other way. We can't continue to keep printing. Our hands can't handle the assembly. Here we are. The first sketch.
right. And so this is jumping forward quite a bit, but
Yeah, I mean, this is probably, let's see, the last ones were from TPE of June. This is
I mean
shortly.
this is
Yeah,
December of last
yeah,
year.
no, yeah, November,
So
December, if that sounds right.
um and so the kind of the I would say the missing piece there that happened was Brett and I did the 413 toy show. And Brett got the ear of Max from Mosquito Toy Works and was sort of, picking his brain, asking him, what is actually involved in doing vinyl. You you had seen him set up at like Toy Pizza Con during the summer as well, right?
Yeah, so I got to talking to him when we were all stationed together during Five Points Fest when we were sequestered to the dining area. And, thank God because it was a humid jungle hellscape outside and we were in some lovely air conditioning and had bathroom access. So really we got the best deal in the house. But um Max and I had sat down and talked a little bit about, vinyl, what he was doing. I was shocked to see that he was just pulling this garage style like Craftsman. And, not only did he just have one sculpt, he had, I believe at the show, he had three different sculpts. And it was like, holy shit, you can just do soft vinyl at home now. It's crazy. So I had been, fooling around with the idea of taking one of my figures into production to begin with, whether it was going to be one of the little oozes or the big brother ooze cloths. I wasn't sure, but we had chatted and I had, pawned off some of my oozes to him from the show and like, hey, take these with you. Let me know what you think. And, we chatted, we made some trades. I picked up one of his vinyl pieces and I really loved it. Really nice pocket size figure, the Lamagon. And I was really smitten with the idea of, we're DIY, we're kind of underground garage makers, and someone is doing that, but they've taken the step further to have molds made, and then they have factory level work getting done at home. And I think that's the coolest thing ever. So when we bumped into each other again at 413 Fest, I was so pumped. And, seeing all this other insane vinyl, Mutant Vinyl Hardcore's there, Studio Kabuto's there. You had, of course, Tank Dino hosting us. So, Bog Squad's there, just absolute juggernauts of vinyl in one room. And these guys have been doing it a long time. It was like, it was like a lightning bolt, like, oh, holy shit. Like, I want to do this now, and talking, they're like, yeah, molds are really cheap. And when I talk production with people, I hear really cheap and I think tens of thousands of dollars. And vinyl does not, it's a fraction of that.
Right.
It does not cost 10 grand to get up and running, which for me was like, oh my God, this is incredible. So, we had an after show event with Tank Dino and some of the other folks that were there. And I really chewed Max's ear off, whether he liked it or not. And said, hey, I'm going to send you home with one of these prints. Can you talk to your factory that makes the molds, get me a quote. And, it kind of just, it leveled out a little. We rebounded and talked, chatted, and one thing led to another. And well, here we are now.
Yeah, and so actually I want to show off some of the I forget like which part happened first because you had you had
Yeah,
sent Max
this
over
is
a print.
this is
Yeah,
the chicken or the egg scenario. But I did send him home with one of my oozes,
right,
and we talked about doing it. And he said, I think I can do this without having a metal mold made. And I
right,
said, oh, well, shit, that's incredible. So we don't have a tooling cost. He can just do it raw material and make the cast himself for it. So friend of the pod, DSN 1014, Derek Bracken, was so kind as to he printed out some of these for me in resin
okay.
and out of my figures, and I had sculpted the eye out with the intent to do the eye gems in them that I love so much for my bigger stuff. So had sent Max up the resin copy. He went through, duplicated in wax, smoothed off any of the print details, hit everything with a flame, really softened it, got it nice and organic. And he's currently this week pulling these in soft
Right.
vinyl in his place. So the this is technically like generation three, version three of the ooze plasm. So they're originally going to be finger puppet size, but I sized them incorrectly when I sent them to Derek, so they're about double that. But they're going to be a nice budget offering for something that's soft vinyl that's domestically made that's under $20, which I'm so proud to say that. That's so cool because vinyl gets so damn expensive.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was actually just the test pool he did. So the other ones are more of like a grosser slime green, like more cartoonish and even smoother. So
Hmm.
I'm really pumped to get these out. And we're gonna try doing some marbling ones too, some really crazy colors. So I don't have for those, but hopefully, before spring, hopefully before it thaws, we'll have vinyl ready to roll.
Right. But I feel like the ooze has been, co-evolving and sort of falling right apace with the cursed armor. And so we'll
Yeah,
jump
this is
back a
like his
little
little
bit.
crony pet. Yeah.
So I think so here's that sketch. And so what I was looking at when I was checking proportions and relative height was actually I had gone to Game of Hope back when Jesse Moore hosted it at his t-shirt factory, where Max is located,
Yeah.
uh, and managed to get one of his figures. And I like his stuff because it's it's about 4 inches high. It has slightly bulked up proportions and a little bit squatter to work as a soft vinyl piece, but the detail is
Yeah.
still very crisp. Um,
Yeah.
and
Very crispy.
it like it works at to me almost as like it's sort of it's like right between the recreating what the actual like suit actor would look like in like a
Right.
Japanese tokusatsu show, and then uh, not as sort of soft as the old Japanese vinyl pieces from like the 70s and 80s. It's like somewhere between that.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's sort of what I was thinking of. Okay, can I pull some of these design features and overlay my own character to design on it? And so I did this little doodle. And then this is around the same time Brett decided, oh, I guess because you had convinced me to like let's try to do the vinyl piece. We said like, well, let's do like a joint branding project
Why not?
logo.
Yeah,
Um,
like if we're gonna do this, like you might as well go all out and have a lot of fun with it. And while I love my stuff with Aegis Station and my sci-fi romp, the like little side shoot store of Aegis Bazaar was just like it's fine. It was this like dinky little site, really just a way for you to go get something. But for us to make the jump into actual production, I wanted something a little more exciting, and I think Goblin Toy Forge was very much both of our aesthetics of fantasy, what we're into, and it was a sick way to carry on the Goblin Blade into a logo, which Gordon, very graciously loved the idea and went with it.
yeah, and I'm gonna see if I can just jump to. So while we were working on like the toy stuff, we actually had our friend Navi Wood go in and pull my initial, notepad sketch and really make it cool.
Oh
I
yeah.
think I think
It's like a legit logo now.
yeah, I had sent him this example like photo of the logo from the movie Mandy, but I was thinking like I really want it to be like one of those crazy, black metal band logos.
Yeah, like circa like '06 to '09 when it's like the acacia strain or like all that remains and it's completely unintelligible. It's illegible. You can't see what it
Well, and
says.
I think he struck a nice balance of
Oh,
like it's
oh,
clearly legible,
absolutely.
but
But no, it
has
hits
the
the
crazy
aesthetic.
thorns and then
Yeah.
has the dagger as part of it.
Hell yeah.
And so then So I think you had convinced me that okay, like Max is ready to go as soon as like you can get the
Well,
sculpt ready.
it was kind of like, all right, man, listen, here we're getting vinyl going, like it's Overdome. Let's just do it. Well, and then he was like, okay. And he gave us a ballpark idea on cost because
Right.
we were considering going with somebody else and he gave us a price on it. And you and me were like, if we split this, Jesus Christ, like that's nothing. Let's just get it done. Let's
Yeah.
just go for it. So we were both very eager at the price point. So we went for it.
Right. And so I had started by blocking out a just basically a cord viper proportioned body in actually Sculptress. I didn't even do that in Blender because my work computer can't run Blender. So
Right.
in an alt tab at work, I did this sort of base body sculpt.
Yeah,
Um,
so anybody that picks one of these up, I want you all to know this did start as Gumby, so be thankful for what you do get when you buy one.
well, and so then what I did is I set up sort of my original 5 points of articulation sculpt next to it, and used both that and the sketch that I had done in Blender to warp the sculpt of the 5 points of articulation, like original figure, to be more
Hmm.
of the proportions of both the Gumby sculpt and also the drawing. I had originally thought I was going to re-sculpt completely the legs and the arms, but I just ended up kind of modifying them as I went. Uh, so I knew that like these open hands, likely the fingers and the thumb would tear off if it was in vinyl.
Right.
The shoulder spikes had to kind of be brought in further. This toe spike had to be brought in. So I think, let's see, is this a little bit? Yeah, this is it starting to be a little bit more brought in. I think I had smoothed off the toe spike there at that point. Um, I decided that it would be cool to actually have the scarf become soft goods, maybe. So I went in and removed the sculpted in scarf and actually, let's see, yeah, sculpted up the rest of the torso with scale mail, added some more kind of curly cues over on the right hand side, uh, shortened the spikes, made them a little bit more stumpy, uh, got some closed hands on them. Basically, like most of the spikes are still there.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're still very present, especially in the pulled pieces, but and now it feels like a toy versus a adult collectible, if that makes sense.
Yeah, or like a tabletop miniature sculpt too.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And so I think so this was sort of where the digital sculpt was when I sent it over, I guess, to you, Brett, and then you got it to Max, and then Max got it
That
to the factory,
yeah, and they did a test print of it.
right?
And then
Which I have.
they went, there it is. There it is in the orange right there.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so actually, while we were waiting on the test print from the factory, like I couldn't wait. So
Oh, of course.
I did a home print.
Yeah. Yeah, and these guys are going to be just around 4 inches, so they're going to fit in with Knights of the Slice and all of our 118 Dream Scale stuff. But they're going to be a little chunkier, a little squattier, so they still are that vinyl aesthetic, while also being something similar to what, TMNT kind of had in the 90s.
Right. And so like here, this was it right off the
Big
printer.
fuzz
That's
guy. Yeah,
yeah.
that's our cotton ball one-off.
So this was either before Brett told me to buy the
You're the filament
dehumidifier for
dryer.
the dryer for the TPU, or maybe I just didn't
Right.
properly dry the filament for that.
Yeah,
Um,
I find 12 hours is the sweet spot for TPU. Some other stuff you can do in like an hour and a half, but TPU, you really gotta cook it.
oh, and so I actually even back to when I was doing the digital sculpt, because this was going to be a joint venture, I wanted part of Brett's
Yes.
character to be an element in it. So
Yeah, you were, it's very kind of you to allow me to piggyback one of my Veilgast head sculpts onto here. Um, I originally did like the idea, and I didn't never really brought it up. I was like, maybe we'll just do the hood for it. That could be really fun. But you were talking about you wanted to eliminate the scarf, and I thought, well, if we're going to do soft goods for a scarf, if that's something we want to do on some of the runs, why would I do a hard hood with a soft goods scarf? It's going to look ridiculous. So, and I already had the helmet done from Kenneth when he had done the Gloom Veil helmet for the Veil Gas, and I figured that's perfect. So,
mhm.
and yeah, again, I really appreciate you letting me jump on that.
No, and I think it's very appropriate for like the Goblin Toy Forge,
The Unity
final debut.
project.
Yeah.
Well, and it's cool too because every one of these figures, when these are coming out, you're going to get essentially two characters in this. You know, you're going to have two heads to go between. You're going to have the original fantastic cursed armor sculpt that Gordon did that's very Vermis and Souls inspired. And then you're going to have something that's a little more wicked and a little more haunted with the Gloomveil helmet.
And so the way that these sort of test prints were assembled was I put in like Glio style pegs. So that let me very quickly swap heads,
Yep.
um, do weird stuff like this, where I took one of my barbarian figures and messed
Yeah.
it with it and combined it.
Yeah, we have War Duke at home.
But this was just, I think these are just the photos that I sent to you,
Mhm.
Brett, of like the initial test print to really
Oh,
get a sense of how it looked.
brother, I was so jazzed when I saw these. I was like, oh my God, we got to get this done now.
Um, so then what we got from
The
Max and
factory.
the factory was I assume that this is in resin,
Yeah,
probably,
so
right?
this is going to be done to my understanding. And if I'm wrong, well, so be it. But to my understanding, this is done on a very large industrial grade ultra detail resin printer.
Hmm.
And this is going to be done where they just, rudimentary fit it together to make sure the shape and everything holds, make sure this is what we want the design to look like, the sculpt is good, etc. Then they will go forward, make a silicone mold off of this resin, and then they're going to fill it with a hot wax mixture.
Right.
And in wax is then where they'll be setting the traditional Safubi or soft vinyl joint systems.
Right. So we actually did, let me see if I have the photos in here. I might have it in the
Yeah,
other.
they're going to
I do
be
have the wax photos, so let me find those because it's interesting to see the difference between the
res
uh
that matte resin and then that like high gloss metallic gold it came into. I
yeah.
I have them handy. I can send them to you.
Well, I have them on my phone. I just
Okay.
don't have them on the computer. So we'll do it live and I'll
Yeah.
just put it on the computer.
All right, sick.
But
But yeah, I mean, folks, you're getting a really nice deep dive into what all goes on with this, and it also really helps that Gordon and I are such good friends and pretty much trust each other on projects. Because if him and I did not, I can't imagine the living hell this would be to work with getting approval from two people and then a liaison and then the factory.
well, and I feel like a big benefit in our case was we didn't have to work with a another person to handle our sculpt. Like
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
it's
that's
it's me
huge.
with the
Yeah.
sculpt and like
Yeah.
I just show it to Brett and like I can run a test print whenever I want. So that's I would say half the battle.
It also helps that you and I very rarely tell each other no. We just kind of ape the idea.
All right, so here are those wax photos. And so what
Oh, hell
is
yeah.
a little bit different here is you can see kind of the sheen of the wax.
Hmm.
To me,
Yeah.
this looks like the same level of incised detail as
Yeah.
was on those resin prints.
Yeah, it may be 3 to 5% of the details lost. I struggled to find anything really that different. But to my understanding, this wax will then be electroplated, and
Right.
that is what will make the internal mold cavity for whenever they go to make the actual mold system.
And so
So, oh,
all credit to
oh,
Brett on remembering that we should brand our toy.
now hang on. Before you shower me with praise, Max was like, "Do you guys want to do a foot stamp? Do you have any
Oh, okay.
ideas?" And I
Okay.
was like, "Oh shit. Yeah, I have the perfect idea, but I don't have a way of making it happen." And I sent Max the image, and he luckily was able to get it done into the type file format they needed the same day. So it all worked out. Because I think having GTF on the bottom of it would have been so fucking lame
Mhm.
compared to the Goblin Blade. So yeah, it worked out perfectly.
Yeah. So thank you, Max.
Yeah.
Uh, and so you can see also, again, here's
Yeah.
that
And there's my head.
glorious.
Shout out to Kenneth West for the incredible, incredible head sculpt for this.
Yeah, it's got skulls on his skull.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's funny. It's only when it's at sort of a large scale I notice. So is this like a dude wearing a skull helmet? Because like, is that his
I
nose poking through?
You be the judge. Is it or
Okay.
is it full plate mail?
Mhm.
That's why I like the vagueness of what I when Kenneth sent me that he's like, do you want me to detail this more? I said, absolutely not. Stop it there. Because I loved how vague it was, where
Mhm.
you could have a nose paint, you could have like the cheek paint in there, or, and then you could do the front skull plate painted white and do the rest of it in silver or black, and it looks like General Kale from Willow.
Right.
Or, you just hit the whole thing in one color and hit the eyes, and then it's just a skull plate helmet. So I loved the idea of having it open-ended.
Mhm.
And it gives me the ability when we go to start painting the vinyl where I can fool around and mess with that. Or with blanks, there's some really good people that we're great friends with that love to paint. So they'll be able to take that and run with it too.
No, and that's been an advantage of like doing all that obsessive detailing, even in the original Cursed Armor sculpt, is there's lots of different ways to
Yeah,
kind of pick out the elements that you can get a lot of different looks out of the same sculpt that's underneath. Uh,
absolutely. So that brings us to yesterday, which is the mold with pictures we got.
right.
So, yeah, everyone is pretty much current with us within the past 48 hours or so. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to be our soft vinyl mold from the factory.
And I really
There she
like
is.
how like crusty the mold looks, but
Oh, this thing is so cancerous. Look at this. It's incredible.
though I guess I, I think isn't how they do it. They do like the electroplating to the wax, and then they often like apply an overcoat to the mold that sort of makes it thicker or like more structurally
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah, this thing can, I mean, Craftsman said it best. This thing is going to look really gross and disgusting. The only thing that really matters is that internal cavity, which is
Mhm.
going to be extremely glossy, beautiful silver. That's the only thing that matters. The rest of this can look like the rust bucket that it is. So,
And so you can see actually particularly on this one,
yep.
down at the bottom of the shoulder where they've done the joint engineering. So I didn't do that. That's the
Shout
engineers
out.
in China.
Yeah, thank you to our factory in Asia for handling that. I appreciate you guys and your hard work. I'm sure they're dutifully listening.
And so here you can
Well, you could.
see,
There's a good shot of it there on your head.
oh yeah, the joint,
Yeah,
yeah.
the neck joint. Yeah, check that out. That's
And
that
then
is
the,
that's such a wild picture. Just those two heads immortalized in metal. It's crazy.
and then they have sort of the extended part, which is going to be like excess flash, but is important for the actual
Pulling.
pulling process because that's like the piece that you grip on and
Hmm.
yank the thing out of the mold.
Yeah, yeah. This was surreal to see yesterday on my birthday. I mean, I was just like in awe of looking at this. Oh man, that is just this thing looks like it's been living under the sea for the past 6 years, just corroded in the bottom of the Pacific.
Well, and
It's be
I would imagine that it's has to do with whatever like noxious chemicals they're using to do the electroplating probably
oh
oxidizes stuff.
oh absolutely, and however they're welding that on there. Oh good Lord,
And
yeah.
so, and then was it today that we got the photos of the test shot?
Yeah, that was today, January 30th, this morning at 10 a.m. Max texted me, and
Right. So they
got the
forgot
back
which way
shot.
the torso goes,
No,
was
I
the
love it.
first
I
thing I
think
noticed.
I cannot I couldn't think of a better way to be like, here's the first test shot, and it's assembled backwards. So yeah, the torso was flip-flopped. When we get these in, that's not going to happen. It's just the factory doesn't know. These are not even going to be the guys pulling it. It'll be Max. But yeah, there's
Right.
the boot stamp. It came out so crisp, so sick.
And it's interesting to see, you know,
There he is.
how much of the detail comes through, and it definitely is a little bit softened,
Yeah,
but
which is the nature of vinyl. Like you're going to have that. But,
mhm,
again, we probably had about a 10 to 15% detail loss, but now it's a toy, right? Like,
yeah. But that's also the reason that like you want those lines so heavily cut into the sculpt if
yep,
it's going to become vinyl is because you're losing a little bit. Um,
right.
as it goes from the, original to the wax to the mold to the
Exactly.
eventual pulp piece.
Well, and that's why I said earlier, it's so funny how you did all that legwork on the sculpt 3 years ago. And whenever you're like, I'm really going to fine tune this and make these real deep and aggressive cuts. And then it paid off in spades today.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, for the listeners, you're seeing the test shots probably before anybody else. You're current with us. So we don't even have these in hand yet.
Right.
These are still in Asia. So those will come over with the mold. And then whenever our fella here stateside starts pooling, we'll be sure to inform everybody, but I think that keeps us current with what's going on with vinyl production. But
Yeah.
yeah, and it's even more hilarious that we don't just have one in going. We have two vinyl projects going simultaneously, which is, what a great way to just jump in feet first into the deep end.
Yeah. And like I still am very much planning to continue with the homemade 3D printed stuff. It's nice to have the two uh
Yeah.
venues of offering stuff. And actually seeing the vinyl piece come together has like inspired me in some of the recent things that I've made. So for example, this little custom Disco Skeletor homage that I
Oh, hell yeah.
made.
Yeah,
Um,
dude, that's so sick. I can't wait to do that color in vinyl. That's gonna be so fun.
is just the Veilgast head, or the Gloom Veil helmet rather, on
Yeah.
the cursed armor body.
Yeah, that
But then
fucks.
just picking out the sort of front part of the skull with paint to get that skull look.
Yeah, that rules, man. That's so good. Well, and it's awesome that you can iterate on these colors at home. You can just print the stuff out. Or like you did that awesome color match with Nobbywood's art.
Yeah, actually, we should show Nobby Wood's illustration because it rules. So
Yeah. Yeah, and we're thinking this will be the sticker that goes with it. Yeah.
yeah, I certainly we can do either that, and he was also kind enough to give us the
A
just
flat
line work
color.
so we could potentially match it with some colorways. But I really
Nice.
liked how he did
Yeah.
sort of the shading on this, and so that
Well, and
inspired me to go. And I
yeah.
think I have a photo in here of two, maybe. I mean, I have it right here
Yeah, Jed,
in my
show it
hand.
live. There it
Yeah.
is. Oh, that's so good, dude. Well, and I love it because the photo looks so much different than the figure, but the figure is kind of like it definitely has that metallic feel.
Yeah.
With the colors where it's not. It's very clearly not Metalder
Mhm.
inspired, but to me, that's the first thing I see. But no,
No, and
I
it's
love it.
it's I think we're gonna have a lot of fun, playing with different color combinations. It's
Absolutely.
awesome that Max is already excited about doing more complex things like marbling. Um,
Oh, we were talking about it today. He immediately was like, dude, he's like, I can't wait to pull this. He's like, this thing's gonna look so sick marble. And I was like, I want someone the first order. He was like, let's do it then. So it's really cool to have a guy that's down to try crazy shit with us that's not just telling us no. Really,
mhm.
really awesome experience working with him so far. So I'm dying to get the first run of stuff in hand. I'm frothing at the mouth.
Although, man, and it's incredible how fast this has moved in comparison to if we like tried to do something in traditional production or like do a Kickstarter or something like.
Oh my God, dude. I I figured my timeline was this mold probably gets over after Chinese New Year,
Mhm.
if we're lucky. First weekend of March, it's in the States. At the earliest, we probably see test shots end of April, maybe have stuff by Easter, and that's a big maybe. And now it's like looking like a little bit quicker than that. I'm trying to be conservative on the
Yeah, I'd be
timelines,
conservative because like it
but
hasn't crossed the ocean yet, but
right. But I mean, stuff shipping out of China has been relatively quick from anything I've bought overseas. It's moving very fast. Unless this gets held by US Customs at the border for 6 weeks, which very well could. I don't really care if it does. I mean, we're in no hurry. But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
my goal was I wanted to have these in hand for Toy Pizza Expo 26. And I think that's a conservative.
Yeah, I think so. And that's sort of I'm assuming that's going to be our big kind of kickoff and debut of the stuff to a
Yeah,
general audience. And like
yeah,
there's still plenty of pieces that we have to prep in the meantime, like the header cards.
yeah.
You
Which
got
which
the
which are close. The bulk of it's done. We just got to finalize some detail stuff, but that's pretty much done. The bags, we have bag equipment already secured. I bought that in bulk. That's ready. Shipping materials are already acquired. So, you
the
know,
stickers.
stickers are done. Yeah, I still need to update the store with more the new sticker cards. Here, I have them right here actually. Yeah, this is real good podcasting and me whining into the microphone, scooting around on my chair. But yeah, so here's the Goblin Toy Forge Lego ones. It's gonna be backwards, obviously. And then here's the Goblin Dagger done by Pepper, creator of Reggie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are really sick. I said you got these, right? I sent you
Yeah, you
some.
sent me a batch. I have
Okay.
them with my
Okay.
zines that I like to send out to people.
Perfect. Yeah, I figured in the event there's shows or anything, I can't make it up into New England for you would have some to have at the table. So not that I don't want to miss, I have no intention of not coming back for 413 Fest, but you never know. Um, but yeah, that's production, folks. That's where we're at with it. It's surreal to think that we'll have a shipping quote early next week and it's dispatching before Chinese New Year. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
And potentially oozes before end of February. Big potentially. I try to be conservative on it, but
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's probably realistic that you can have those ready for next month.
Yeah, and it's been cool to get to work with, you and Wood and Max and like start to extend sort of the DIY projects that there are multiple people involved rather than just
Yeah.
doing it ourselves. And it definitely kind of brings some more energy and reinvigoration for me, both on to just like the own stuff that I'm working on, but making stuff in general. So this has been
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
No, absolutely. It's been cool. And I was so thankful and so lucky to get a commission for one of my printed figures from somebody in the past few weeks for a buddy of mine, his son, for his birthday, really loves my stuff and wanted one in his own colorway. And I was like, dude, that's so sick. Like a kid wants one of my figures. Incredible. I get so pumped when that happens. But I had really taken a big pause from doing print work stuff because I've been just overseeing all of this in communication with Max, making sure things are going with timelines and schedules, getting header card stuff done first over to you for approval, getting sticker stuff made, like just, in between a wife, a child, a career. So it was really cool to kind of just reset and get back to, the old ways of doing figures
Mhm.
that led us to this point. And I was really, really enjoying that process again, which was cool. So it definitely reinvigorated it. And not to say I haven't loved doing the Veil Gas, the two releases of those. Those were really fun. But pulling supports off of like 35 TPU figures, that'll rot the brain. That gets tiring. So
Mhm.
folks, if you're printing, adjust the support settings. It'll save your life.
Sage advice from our printing expert. Well, I think that's probably a cool.
Printing expert is preposterous, but thank you.
I think that's probably a good like run through of where we're at with the project at the moment. So shall we give our plugs?
Yeah, I think that's good. Looking back, we should really just open up a Patreon. This would have been a great first episode because people were seeing test shots for free. But hey, enjoy, folks.
That's my sentiment is this is a DIY toy cast, and so what it's about is you get to see the process and like
Yeah,
please buy our stuff because we're showing our work, and a lot of work has gone into this, but
true.
we're having a good time, we're having a blast, and we hope that it inspires people to make their own stuff. But Brett, where can people find your stuff?
Oh man, you can find me on Instagram at Goblin Toy Forge. You can find me on Instagram at ageist_station, and you can find me and Gordon at goblintoyforge.com. Gordon, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Vladimir the Batamir, and you can find me here on YouTube, posting the DIY Toycast episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.